Hi everybody. As promised, I'm going to do a quick cooker demo. Just like to show you one of my favorite tools in the kitchen, the Pampered Chef Quick Cooker. We're going to make the chicken parm right out of the book. It's also online. I shared it in our party today. And I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not really good at following directions a whole lot, but I am going to use this as my guide. Plus, with the pantry and the refrigerator not stocked the way it usually is, I don't have all of the ingredients that it calls for. So I'm going to make the best of it. I think you're going to like it, and I know we're going to enjoy it because it's going to be dinner. The first thing we're going to do is sear our chicken. It calls for a pound. I've got a little bit less than that here. We're just going to turn this button until it says sear, and we're going to hit start. We're going to let that get warmed up. It makes all kinds of fun noises. My granddaughter says that it's like a video game. It is, kind of. So it calls for oil to saute your chicken in. I'm going to use my Pampered Chef Mister because I don't really want to use 2 tablespoons, but I do want to coat the bottom of my pan really good. So what this is just a spray bottle full of oil. And when you pump in a bit of pressure and then spray it, it sprays just like a non-stick spray bottle. Only it uses a fraction of the oil that you normally would. So I can see that this is starting to get a little bit hot. The sear button does work relatively quickly. I think I've got about 9 ounces of chicken here cut up. Have to say that it only took me about 5 minutes to get my ingredients ready, to get my chicken cut up, and to get all my ingredients gathered from the kitchen. Notice that's already searing nice. We're just going to kind of stir it around a little bit. We're going to let it brown. Just going to kind of let it sit there for a minute while I grab what we're going to use for our sauce. I don't have jarred sauce, but I always keep diced tomatoes. This is my favorite. They're fire roasted tomatoes. And I just pop those right in my manual food processor. This is one of my favorite little tools to use in the kitchen. I'm just going to put the lid on, make sure that it's locked in place, and just push. I just noticed in the video you can't really see the bottom of it, but that's spinning quite a bit down there. And what it's doing is chopping up those tomatoes so that it's more like a sauce. Now, I could have gotten my blender out if I really wanted it blended, but I kind of like some chunks in my spaghetti, so we're going to leave the chunks. Once that's done, we just lock the handle in place, pull the lid off, and this will be ready to pour in when it's time. Now it's sizzling pretty good here, so I'm going to go ahead and stir it up a little bit. Once it's pretty much browned, we're going to be ready to move to our next step. But we'll let that brown just a little bit longer. We'll go ahead and get our pasta. I do actually have some ziti. Again, I'm not great at measuring, but since I have Riley's handy dandy Pampered Chef measurer here, I'll put about a cup out. I think it calls for 2 cups. Again, I'm using what I have. We don't really eat a lot of pasta, so a cup will be good for us. Some of the things I use the quick cooker for are things like this where it's a meal in one, because you've got your meat, your pasta, your red sauce. But I also use dried beans, make dried beans into cooked beans for soups and side dishes. It's so much cheaper to buy the dried beans, and I like the idea of not having all those cans to open when I make a soup. And I also do vegetables in this. If I want to just cook up a batch of, say, carrots, I just pop them in there, put the lid on, some water in it, set the timer for custom about 5 to 12 minutes, depending on how tender you want them. Pop the lid on, hit start, walk away, and come back and they're done to perfection. Love this machine. All right, our chicken looks pretty good. It's starting to brown up pretty good. So what we're going to do next is go ahead and pour in our tomatoes. I'm going to go ahead and leave that on sear because it keeps it hotter, which will help it to warm up faster in the process. You always have to have plenty of water in a pressure cooker because that's what a quick cooker is. It is a pressure cooker. So we're going to put in a little less than a cup here. Again, the recipe called for an entire jar of pasta sauce and a cup of water, but since we're not making quite that much, that might be just about good. We're going to go ahead and throw our pasta in. I'm using a different seasoning mix that it says, again, because I don't have jarred sauce. What I need to add is my Italian seasoning. So I'm using my Pampered Chef Italian seasoning. It's got all the basics in it. It's got your garlic, your oregano, your basil, some other spices, a little bit of onion. Again, since I'm not much of a measurer, I'm going to put about 2 tablespoons, which is about 2 palmfuls for me. And then since it's not a sauce, it's actually tomatoes, I'm going to add just a little bit of sweetener. Otherwise, the tomatoes taste just a little bitter. A little bit of sweetener there. And then we're going to stir everything up. I'm going to get all those, try to get as much pasta under the water as you can. I am going to add just a little bit more of that water there. And now, the next step, we're simply going to put the lid back on. Make sure that our steam valve is set properly. I'm going to lift the phone up so that you can see that. This is the steam valve. And when it's lopsided like that, it's open, which means steam can come out. So we want to push that and make sure that it's closed. Once that's closed and it gets up to pressure, this little red button will pop up and it will be under pressure. Now, other than the fact that the timer's going, we won't know that it's cooking. You won't really be able to smell it. It won't steam. You shouldn't really even know that it's there until it's done and it beeps. But so we're pretty much ready. We're going to move this. We're going to turn it off. Take it from the sear setting. We're going to turn it off of that. We're going to push custom. Oh, where's custom? Oh, there it is. I don't have my glasses on. I should put them on. Now, we don't need 30 minutes, obviously, so we're going to hit time and down. I think the recipe says for about 5 minutes, but I use whole wheat ziti, and that takes a little bit longer than regular semolina ziti or any other kind of pasta. So we're going to go about 9 minutes. Let's go 10 just for good measure. We're going to hit the start button. Now, it's going to take a few minutes to actually get up to pressure, but once it does, it's going to say 10 minutes right there. And then from 10 minutes, once that 10 minutes is up, we'll come back and we'll check it. And while we're waiting, I'm going to go play with my dog for a few minutes. She'll enjoy that. See you soon.